You ever check your bank account and immediately close the app? Not because you saw something shocking, but because deep down, you already knew what you were going to see. The paycheck came in and somehow disappeared almost instantly. Again. And the weirdest part, most people don't even remember where the money went. It's like your bank account is silently watching you repeat the same cycle every month. Get paid, spend, regret, repeat. And after a while, you stop feeling confused about it. You just accept it as normal. But what if the problem isn't that you don't make enough money? What if your bank account is actually revealing something much deeper about your habits, your emotions, and the way you think about money? Because most financial problems don't start with money. They start with behavior. Here's something most people never realize. Your bank account tells a story, not the story you think you're living, the real one. It shows what you prioritize, what you avoid, what comforts you, what stresses you, what controls your decisions. And if most people looked honestly at their spending, they'd notice something uncomfortable. A lot of spending has nothing to do with need. It has everything to do with emotion. Think about it. How many purchases happen because you're bored, stressed, tired, trying to feel productive, trying to reward yourself, trying to keep up with people online, and because the purchases are small, they don't feel dangerous. A coffee here, food delivery there, a quick online order, another subscription, a small upgrade. None of these feel like bad financial decisions, but your bank account sees all of them, every single one, quietly stacking up in the background. And over time, those tiny emotional decisions start shaping your financial life more than your salary does. Let's make this relatable. Imagine someone earning decent money, not rich, but not struggling either. Every month they say, this month will be different. They plan to save more, invest more, spend less, but then life happens. A stressful day at work, so they order food, a rough week, so they treat themselves, a boring evening, so they scroll online and buy something random. And here's the important part. None of these decisions feel big enough to matter. That's why they're dangerous, because your brain doesn't react strongly to small losses. Psychologists call this mental accounting. Your brain separates money into categories. So $15 on food delivery doesn't feel serious. $8 for streaming feels harmless. $20 impulse spending feels tiny, but your bank account doesn't separate them emotionally. It combines all of them mathematically. And mathematics doesn't care about your justification. At the end of the month, your balance tells the truth. Here's where things get interesting. Most people think financial problems come from low income, bad luck, expensive emergencies, and yes, sometimes they do. But often, the real problem is invisible spending, the kind that slowly leaks money without creating long-term value. Imagine a bucket with tiny holes in it. One tiny hole? Not a problem. But enough tiny holes? The bucket never fills. That's exactly how many bank accounts work. Money comes in, but tiny leaks quietly drain it. Subscriptions, convenience spending lifestyle. Upgrades, impulse purchases, emotional spending, and because none of them individually feel serious, people never fix them. Now, let's talk about something modern life has made much worse. Comparison. Social media completely changed the way people spend money. Years ago, you mostly compared yourself to people around you. Now, you compare yourself to thousands of people online every single day. And your brain quietly absorbs it. Someone travels. You want experiences? Someone buys a car. You suddenly feel behind. Someone upgrades apartments. Now your place feels small, so people start spending money to keep up emotionally without even realizing it. And your bank account watches the whole thing happen, quietly. Here's something deeper. Most spending is emotional before it's financial. People don't buy things because they logically need them. They buy because they want to feel comfort, status relief, excitement, escape or ogress at sea. Why stress spending exists? That's why boredom spending exists. That's why I deserve this spending exists. And companies know this. That's why modern apps make spending frictionless. One tap, one click, instant dopamine. Your brain gets rewarded immediately, while the financial consequences show up later. And humans are naturally terrible at prioritizing future consequences over present pleasure. This is called present bias. Your brain values feeling good now more than benefiting later. That's why saving feels difficult and spending feels easy. This is important. A lot of people believe if I earned more, my financial problems would disappear. Sometimes more income helps, but often people simply scale their lifestyle with their income. More money comes in and more money goes out. Better car, better phone, more expensive habits, nicer experiences. And suddenly, someone earning twice as much still feels broke because income doesn't automatically fix behavior. In many cases, it amplifies it. Now compare that to people quietly building wealth. They don't necessarily earn dramatically more, but they think differently. Instead of asking, what can this money buy me today? They ask, what can this money become later? That one shift changes everything, because every pound or dollar becomes a future investment, an asset, a source of freedom, a future opportunity. Wealthy thinking isn't about never enjoying money. It's about understanding trade-offs. Every purchase has a hidden cost, the future growth that money could have created. That's why financially smart people often look boring at first. Because while others upgrade lifestyles, they're quietly buying time. Here's the truth: most people underestimate. Financial freedom rarely comes from one giant decision. It usually comes from tiny repeated behaviors, daily habits, repeated monthly, repeated yearly. Think about two people, same income, same starting point. One person spends emotionally, upgrades constantly, reacts impulsively. The other tracks spending, invests consistently, delays unnecessary upgrades, thinks long-term. At first, they look almost identical. But after 10 years, their lives look completely different. Not because of one huge moment, because of thousands of tiny decisions. Here's the deeper insight. Your bank account is more than money. It's behavioral data. It reveals patterns you don't notice emotionally. And once you start seeing spending patterns clearly, you stop treating money problems like mysteries. You start seeing them as habits. That's powerful because habits can change. But first, you have to become aware of them. Most people never pause long enough to ask, why am I actually spending this? And that one question alone can completely shift your financial future, because awareness interrupts automatic behavior. So what should you actually do? First, stop judging yourself emotionally every time you check your bank account. Most people avoid looking because it creates stress. But avoidance makes problems invisible, and invisible problems grow. Second, track your spending for 1 month honestly. Not to shame yourself, just to notice patterns. You'll probably discover emotional spending triggers, invisible leak habits you didn't realize existed. Third, create friction before spending. Modern spending is too easy, so slow it down. Wait before impulse purchases. Remove saved cards. Pause before emotional spending. Tiny delays reduce emotional decisions massively. Fourth, automate investing and saving, because automation protects you from yourself. If money gets invested before you can spend it, your future benefits automatically. And finally, start thinking long-term. Not, can I afford this today? But, what is this costing my future self? That single question changes behavior fast. Your bank account is always watching. Watching your habits, your emotions, your priorities, your patterns, and whether people realize it or not. Their financial future is usually being shaped quietly in the background by small, repeated behaviors. Not dramatic moments, not luck, not magic, just habits, because wealth isn't built in one day. It's built in the decisions you repeat every day. And once you understand that, you stop seeing your bank account as a place money sits, and start seeing it as a reflection of your behavior. That's when things begin to change. If you want simple, practical insights on managing your money, investing, and building wealth, subscribe to the channel for daily videos.